Joining me now is Ohio Congressman Michael Rouley. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Look, you and your colleagues in the House did your work. You voted for this bill, right? What is your reaction to the Senate's pushback now, and even pushback from Elon Musk?
Well, good morning, Maria. Welcome to the House of Lords. They better realize it's the U.S. Senate. This isn't the House of Lords. To put this bill together in the U.S. House of Representatives was a lot of work. It is great. It is beautiful. They are going to destroy the entire movement of America First by these tactics that they're doing in the U.S. Senate. We will never get their cuts and all the different things they want through our conference. It's not going to happen. And you know what will happen, Maria? If they play around like they're doing and we don't get this bill to the president's desk like he asked, the president asked that we get this to his bill by July 4th. They're going to play games. We'll lose the midterms, and they will spend the next 2 years impeaching America First. We have to come together. If they have issues, we will work through these issues. But this House of Lords has to go away, and they need to do their job. Well, as I'm understanding them, some of them are up for re-election in 26.
Yeah, good point. But what I'm wondering is why it is that your colleagues and certainly in the Senate are not codifying the cuts from DOGE. I mean, you heard Elon Musk there. There were some serious spending failures in USAID, USAID, and DOGE identified those. Why not codify those into law? What's the problem?
Well, I am a member of DOGE, and I think Elon's right. I think there is some wiggle room that if we can get those codified into the bill, I think a lot of our members of conference would welcome that. I think there is a lot of possibility and pathways for a little bit more work on this, but to completely gut it, like some of the senators are saying, I think is reckless.
Yeah. And they're talking about the debt being reckless, right? I mean, look, the debt limit increase is a problem for several of them. Ron Johnson, Senator Rand Paul, who's talked about it. You just saw Rick Scott. Then there's the Medicaid situation. Susan Collins, Josh Hawley, Lisa Murkowski, Shelley Moore Capito, Jim Justice all have a problem with the way Medicaid is dealt with. And then there's these green energy credits. We were just talking on set. Why are any green energy credits from Joe Biden's Inflation Reduction Act still in this bill? Why?
That's the one part of the bill that I do not like. I agree with you 100%. I think that green needs to be ripped out of there completely. I have no problem with that at all. In fact, when you talk to our 230-some members of the Republican conference, which is only a few vote majority, so let's keep that in mind. We want Speaker Johnson to keep that gavel. I don't think any of us are 100% satisfied with every part of the great, big, beautiful bill. But in most part, most of us are 80 to 90% satisfied. And we all know that in life you have to give and you have to take. And this time we're going to have to give a little bit. So I think the U.S. Senate could take note of this. You're not going to get whatever you want. It's not Christmas morning. This is America's time. America first.
So I'm wondering if these senators are just playing hardball so that they cut some other things like these IRA green energy credits. And at the end of the day, they will support the president's agenda. How much of this is playing poker?
Well, I think they probably all read Art of the Deal, and I think you're right. I think it is a lot of poker going on. I think we'll give the Senate their time, let them get into the sunlight. If there's certain details they want to be pulled, we're willing to listen to that.
Yeah, I'm with Luke Ball today. Luke, jump in.
Hey, Congressman, I actually find it ironic that just 2 months ago, the Senate was only proposing $4 billion in spending cuts when the House was proposing anywhere from 1.2 to 2 trillion in spending cuts. So what I'm hearing from you right now is that you might be open to spending cuts if the Senate sends that back. Is there a limit to how deep the House Republicans are wanting to go with these spending cuts, or are you going to evaluate that once it comes back from the Senate?
Well, we're going to evaluate it once it comes back from the Senate. And when President Trump came in the conference last week for 2 hours, we got into the weeds about this. And the president had a couple different points of focus that he wanted us to concentrate. And Medicare and Medicaid was it. He said, you know, we had two different versions in energy and commerce. We had one that was $300 to $400 billion, and we had another one that was $800 billion. But we wanted to make sure that Medicare and Medicaid was preserved very, very proper, where only illegals were going to be pulled. So we wanted to take care of the working working class. And this was by the president's directive. So I think that if they bring things over from the Senate and they're reasonable, we're definitely going to be all ears, and we'll try to even have a greater and more better bill. And I think the whole conference is willing to have those conversations.
So do you think there is still a shot that this gets done by July 4th?
I do. You know, Bernie Moreno and John Husted, two great senators from Ohio, they're not taking as radical of approach as some of the senators that you mentioned. And I think they do realize the sensitivity of time, because it's very sensitive. If we don't get this done before the summer break, we're going to go into election season and we're going to lose.
Right. And then it will be all about impeachment. And I'd like to know how those senators are going to feel when Hakeem Jeffries is the leader of the House, the Speaker. Your thoughts on what happens then?
If you're 80 years old and you're a senator and you're on the rocking chair with your wife looking at the sunset and you know that you ruined this country, how can you sleep at night? Don't shame your country. Do the right thing. Be Paul Revere. Please be a patriot.
Meanwhile, Maryland Democrat Glenn Nye, returning from a trip to El Salvador's Supermax prison, he said he's furious he did not get a meeting with the deported illegal Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
They knew we were coming, and they knew why we were coming. And then when we actually got to the jail, they said something about going to get a permit, going all the way. Santa Ana's a long ways, from about an hour-and-a-half drive from San Salvador. They said, go back to San Salvador and get a permit. And I won't tell you what I said, but I mean, it's, you know, ridiculous that an international delegation would get that kind of treatment.
Congressman, what about that? As a U.S. judge who ruled deportations to South Sudan violate court orders is now accusing the Trump administration of, quote, manufacturing chaos. The president is asking the Supreme Court to authorize rapid deportations to places other than the countries of origin. Congressman, your reaction?
Well, we were all elected to make sure that we clear up these borders, we shut down these borders, and if you're here illegally, you got to go. And quit trying to get wife beaters out of jail from El Salvador. If you saw the testimony of that gentleman's, he's not even a gentleman, that person's wife, he's a wife beater, and we have senators trying to get them out of jail. If you're here illegally, you have to go. We've already made claims that if you leave on your own terms, we will make sure that you have a speedy vetting process so you can become a legal citizen, just like all my grandparents were. We welcome other people from other countries coming here legally, but if you're here illegally, you are a criminal and you have to leave immediately.
All right, we'll be watching your work, Congressman. Thank you.